Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you are on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to take pre-loved, secondhand thrifted items and I share the process with you, my vision to make these items over, give them new life, get them to be loved again. So in today's video, I just recently looked at my stash and I'm like, I have a few larger items that are kind of taking up some room. So I thought I should probably get these done so my stash doesn't look so big. What is it about picnic baskets? I'm drawn to picnic baskets. I think they're great added storage into somebody's house, but not necessarily do they always sell when they're just plain like this one. So when I have picked this one up, I'm like, I know that I can paint it and somebody will love it. It's not in terrible condition. There's no brokenness, nothing like that. It just needs to be given a little bit of love, a little bit of fun color to paint it. Now, painting baskets, painting reed is not always, you can't just slap it on there. You do need a little bit of TLC. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my air compressor, try to blow out, see if there's any like dust, fuzzies in between the reeding or anything like that. It doesn't look like it needs to be wiped down or wetted or anything like that to clean it. It just needs to be dusted. As soon as I saw this basket, I knew exactly what color I had in my inventory. I would paint it Bayberry. I love this green, the richness. It goes for spring, summer, into the winter season. It is just like a perfect classic green color. Now, when it comes to painting picnic baskets, I like to do the inside, do the whole thing. Inside, outside, the whole thing. But when you're painting it, you want minimal paint on your brush because it's just weaved together. There's lots of holes. There's lots of areas. It could drip and start to dry before you can flip it over and get to the other side. So I put minimal paint on my brush and then just work in all directions, trying to get in between where it has been weaved together. Trying to be careful not, you're probably going to have drips and runs, but try your best not to load up that paintbrush too much. The reed is really dry. It's soaking in that paint wonderfully, with Fusion's paint being paint, primer, and top coat all in one. I'm pretty sure I'm only going to have to do one coat on this. So now I have the inside and the outside done. Now I'm going back in, checking for any drippage that it was going around. Really, I had minimal because I wasn't putting a lot of paint on my brush. So I'm going to wait for the inside of the lid to last. That way I could get the most surface area painted at first. And old handles, handles are awkward, but they need to be done. So flipping it, flopping it back and forth to make sure that I didn't miss a spot. Okay, so I'm almost finished painting, but I have to flip it over and do the bottom now, also the inside of the lid. But as I'm doing this, I will look to see, like you can see all that gap area now where it needs to be painted. Also, just when you think you're done, you're not quite done. But it's well worth it to try to get everything painted. Try not to get any drips and runs. If anything, when you're painting a picnic basket or a basket in general, minimal paint seems to work, especially on this unfinished. This wasn't sealed in, it wasn't stained with anything. So as you can see, it's just soaking that paint right in. Here is another item I know that a lot of times I see at many Goodwills, and y'all probably too. So just like at Hobby Lobby, metal reproduction of like a vintage ceiling tile. But they're awesome. They are awesome decor pieces, especially if you paint it up. So let's paint it up to make it look like it's a lot older than it is. So first, Goodwill tag removed, not going to be painting over that. And then we will get these cleaned up. Well, hold on. Let me show you a vintage one. So I just happened to get this vintage ceiling tile that somebody already put a chain on at a rummage sale. But the color of it is awesome and amazing because of the age. But not everybody can fit the really rustic like this into their decor. So I'm going to paint this one up at the same time I'm painting the other one up. Get these cleaned up, I'm just using hot water, Dawn dish soap. This is a great degreaser. I'll get any grime, anything that will prevent my paint from sticking, removed. We're all cleaned up and they are completely dry. I'm going to seal them in and use a priming agent that I like to use a lot on metals to help my paint to stick, and that is shellac. So I'll do a couple coats to make sure that everything is thoroughly covered. But this is a great product, especially for metals. I'm not going to do a lot of sanding here. I just need something to help attract the paint that I'm going to put on it. And shellac is my perfect choice. And this probably seems silly since I just shellacked it and said I don't want my paint coming off. I want my paint to stick where I want my paint to stick. But I'm using candle wax, just a simple votive, nothing fancy. I thrifted a whole bunch of them. And now I'm rubbing it all over on the detailed areas. And what the candle wax will do is will prevent the paint from sticking. So I'll still get that chippiness, that aged look, without it all just chipping off the metal. Keeping with that chippy aged paint look, I'm going with Sweet Pickins milk paint in the flour sack. It's a great white paint. So Sweet Pickins milk paint is a dry powder. So you mix up equal parts powder to equal parts water. You stir it for 2 minutes and you kind of feel like it thicker and it'll aerate. You'll get a couple little bubbles sometimes. And then you sit it off to the side and let it thicken up for about 2 to 10 minutes before painting. sometimes when I do this technique, the wax technique on wood, one coat is enough, just the way that it grabs and it takes, and the wood absorbing in the paint. Well, metals, there's nothing for the paint to absorb into. It's just kind of laying on top of each other. So I do need to go back in with a second coat, but I want to try not to go over like too many multiple times because there's wax underneath there. And then with the metal, if I like play with it too much, my paint, because it's milk paint and it's not stuck on there quite yet, might start to move around. So I do need to be a little bit careful when I'm applying my second coat. And I don't recommend using a heat gun or any kind of heat source to dry it. I don't know what that would do to the wax. So I just let this dry on its own. I've got a fan going in my studio, and this is what it looks like. Oh, look at all that crackling and crazing. That's my addiction to milk paint. It's unpredictable, but sometimes I'm learning. I'm kind of learning. So now I'm just taking a scraping tool, which is the Cricut plastic scraping tool that you use with your Cricut machine. I think the Dollar Tree carries these also. Since this is metal, I don't want to use like a metal scraper on top of metal and scrape down to the metal. I just am going along, and whatever is going to come off from where I waxed it is going to come off at this point. This is a little bit on the messy side, getting all those paint chips, but taking the air compressor and then really kind of like pushing it towards the metal, see if anything else will come off. But I love how these are turning out already. Now, milk paint needs to be sealed in, so I'm going to be using some clear wax, but I also want to add some age to it. So I'm going to go ahead and clear wax the entire piece, and then to add age, I'm going to use some of the Fusion's aging wax, and what that'll do, it kind of looks like dirt. It's exactly what it's called. Like the other tile was like a little bit too much on the dirty side. But this will just add like that right amount of patina. It'll get into all that crazing and that crackling and really make this look like an older piece. And because there's so much detail in this area, I am using an extra brush that is dry, just trying to blend it into all those detailed areas. So I waxed it first because if I would have put the aging wax on that white paint, it would have made it more of a cream color. But sealing it in first with the clear wax just gives it that right amount of age. So there is a difference of why you seal something in first with clear or a clear coat and then put the aging wax on, because it will change your paint color when it comes to milk paint. Now for the old tile, I want to do one more thing. I want to seal that rusty crustiness in the back. I don't want it to be getting on anybody's wall or anything like that. If it got moist, you know how rust will just rub off. So I'm just sealing it in with a coat of Weather Defense. Should be plenty to prevent that from getting on anything. I wonder if my husband Chris will even know, in the middle of his stash of old tools, if I just kind of help myself to one of his pulleys. Do you think he'll even notice? I don't know. He's got quite a pile here. I just really want to hang that one tile from a vintage pulley. So he's not home. He's at work. He'll never know. So you know, pulleys are usually from barns. Something to do with hay, something to do with lifting something in a barn. So they're usually pretty dirty, but they're so cool. Farmhouse, industrial, they just fit into so much. But yeah, I need to give this one a bath. It's in great shape. It's not terribly rusty crusty. I probably should have taken it in and washed it in the sink, but then I have to wait forever for the water to dry. So I'm just going to clean it off with some Clorox wipes. I didn't immerse it in the water, it didn't take long for just that much water to dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and seal in the entire thing with a coat of weather defense, including the wood. It's not going to make it terribly shiny or anything like that. It's just going to seal in and protect. I need something like a strong rope to hang that tile, which is heavy, onto the pulley. So I have this jute roping, which is kind of much thicker than your normal jute rope, but it's too new age. It's too bright and it's too new. So to age it, I have a watered down mixture of Waverly antiquing wax that I actually put Waverly ink chalk paint in there too. That's why it's a little bit on the blacker side. That will really give this roping more of a dirty aged look. So I'm just going to totally immerse it all into the liquid. Not for very long. It won't take this dry rope very long to soak this in. And I'll just take it back out, and as you can see, it was already starting to swell, and that's what I wanted not to happen. So quick in, quick out, quick out. And then I'll just wipe off the excess, and that quickly it already stained this rope. Well, I couldn't find the drill bit, so now he knows that I stole one of his pulleys, but he's good with that. He'll just buy another one at an auction. So I need to make holes to tie the rope in, and since this has more of a box frame in that goes back, I thought it would be a good idea to hang it from the top and then just pull the roping through. So he's just using a bit, but then he also has this other bit which countersinking. It drives it down, makes that the hole that you need, and it's for metal cutting. It's perfect, but I never seem to know where all his tools are. I knew where his pulleys were, I just didn't know where this bit was to use it. But so we'll just flip it around, and I'll just pull it through the hole and tie it off. There's some numbers on the front side of the pulley, so I wanted to make sure that that's the side that you were seeing. So I don't need a ton of slack to hang this. That would take up a lot of somebody's wall space. And it's pretty easy to tie, and it's nice and tight because it's going right under the Hobby Lobby add-on hanging system. So that's a little bit of a bonus. I know, there's nothing wrong with this sign. It's just a new age Hobby Lobby probably type of piece, which there's nothing wrong with that by any means, but I love a good challenge of changing something and making it look old. I know that's not everybody's vibe. Some people like that pristine paint job, but I was asked recently, you know, I love to do Rusty Crusty here on the channel with the Dixie Belle patinas, and could I do the blue patina? Well, I've done these signs before, love them in Rusty Crusty. They turn out amazing, and I'm like, well, why not? I have all the stuff to do the bluish green turquoisey patina. So why not try that with this sign that I just picked up from Goodwill? Yeah, Goodwill prices are what Goodwill prices are, is just what it is. And of course, that darn tag would not come off. And I know that a little bit of a heat gun will reactivate that sticky and release that easily. Unlike the other tile that I did from Hobby Lobby type places, that one was not shiny. This one that is painted to look like enamel is super shiny. So I do need to scuff sand it. I do need to give that patina paint something to grab onto. As is, it would just kind of come off. So 220 sandpaper and elbow grease to scuff sand the entire piece. It really didn't take as long as you may think. A new piece of sandpaper, just get that top coat of the shiny off, 7 minutes maybe. It wasn't really even that long. Now I'm just taking the air compressor, blowing that sandy dust out of the way, and then I'll clean this up with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water. Also getting any grime, just because I sanded it, there's still grime and whatnot that might be left as a residue on this piece that prevent my patina from sticking. So to achieve the blue patina, I'm going to be mixing the Dixie Belle's copper and the Dixie Belle's iron together. Not like pouring them in, but layering them on top. So I'm going to go in with the copper color first, because usually it's that copper or brass that turns into that turquoise. So I'm like, okay, so I'll just start off with this first. It's fun to play and it's fun to learn and mix things around. So I grabbed a big old waxing brush because this is large. That's a lot just to do with a Dollar Tree stencil brush that I usually apply patina, but I like to do the dabbing motion like this, not brushing on, because patinas are usually raised and not flat. So the dabbing motion works out wonderful. And the bigger brush is definitely going to help out. I have done others like this with a little bitty small Dollar Tree stencil brush, and it took like forever. So I'm learning the power of editing. It went really fast, didn't it, y'all? So now I'm going over why it's still wet. I rinsed out my brush. I just rinsed it out. I didn't like get a new brush. I'm using the same brush. So now I'm just going in with the iron paint, and I'm going to end up just dabbing it here and there, dabbing it where the lettering is, because I really want that to stand out, want you to be able to see. Just kind of like in my mind playing where I'd want the different tones once I add the spray to it. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, so now I'm going to start off with the Dixie Belle's Blue Patina Spray, which is going to make that blue color. I made sure that I have my setting on my sprayer into the mist, so I'm getting an even distribution of the liquid all over the entire piece. And of course, there's always like, you get that little larger drop, but that's not any big deal whatsoever. Then right on top of that, I'm going to add the green patina spray, and we will start to watch and see what I had that on mist also, and see what this turns into. We'll talk about blue. It is, and you can see where I put the iron paint on a little bit heavier, and then I thought the patina spray also has a yellow patina, so I thought, here and there around these edges, I will just take a paintbrush and just have fun playing with it, just tapping it onto those corners and kind of watching to see what it will do. I'm a little leery of the yellow because sometimes it makes like a floral flower color, which is beautiful if you ever find any metal flowers to make into sunflowers. Yellow is awesome for that, but I thought I would just play with it a little bit with the sign. That's the fun of crafting and creating, is just having fun and just like testing out a little bit of an area to see what something can become. And this is probably about 15-20 minutes into the drying process, how quickly it started to activate. I do not have a fan going. I don't try to accelerate the process at all. I just let it go naturally, because sometimes I feel like if I'm trying to dry it, I may not get all that yumminess of the patina to its best of its ability. I have tried in the past heat guns and stuff, but I don't really care for it. I just want it to do its time and do what it wants to do on its own without forcing it. Okay, what are you thinking? It just is, it's just the process is just amazing to watch. So now it's completely dry. Hour, 2 hours. Now I'm spraying it with some weather defense, which is going to brighten it back up, seal that patina in, and then I can take a little gander of what I want to tweak a little bit, because I do think it's rather on the bright side for a sign, but that's just a personal preference. You could definitely leave it as is. You can tell where I put the yellow, so that's kind of fun. So what I'm going to do, because I think it's really bright blue, like almost newly painted, is I'm going to go in with some of the gilding patinas, and this is just a brush on. So I'm just taking a stencil brush from the Dollar Tree store, and I'm just hitting ever so slightly the letters, so you can see where it's just changing that a little bit. So this is that part where we're just tweaking, we're just having some fun. I wanted the letters to stick out a little bit more than the background, and this is doing exactly what I was hoping that it would do. One more element I want to put on there, I just still feel like there's like bits and parts that are really so in your face blue, even with the rust added in there that pop the letters. I'm just taking Fusion's cast iron paint, and I'm ever so slightly, not much on this little paper towel here, and just dabbing it here and there. I love with the rusted to the letters, but I just think that it needs another little element to bring it all together. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and what did you think? Yes, I think probably a lot of people have picnic baskets. Yes, painting it, I could have added like transfers and all that, but I noticed over the years that a lot of times just plain painted picnic baskets sell a little bit better. If it doesn't sell, it's just got that wonderful fusion paint on it, I could bring it home and try something. But for right now, it's just going to say that beautiful green color. So, and what did you think of the blue-green patina? There's a fancy word for it. I struggle with the English language to begin with, but I had lots of people ask me, because I do all the rusty crusty with the patina all the time, to try that technique. And to me, it was just a little bit too bright, so going in and toning it down with some of the glittering wax and a little bit of the cast iron paint seemed to work out just fine, just enough to tone that in your face, brightness down, and then chippy. Oh, those pulleys holding a metal tile. Oh, just beautiful. And I just happened to have one that I got at a rummage sale. It's hard for people to always fit in the really rustic, really chippy sometimes. So sometimes just giving it a fresh coat of white paint, still keeping it chippy, still giving it that I've been around for a while vibe, just helps it sell a little bit better. And then the other one, New Age Hobby Lobby probably, adding chippy paint to it, a little bit more authentic looking paint, and a pulley. Oh yes, those have gone so well. Not the smaller one, but the larger ones go so well. So let me know down in the comments which of the items I made over today were your favorites, and if you have done any of these items yourself. So again, thanks for watching today's video, and as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out the channel for the first time, and you love secondhand, pre-loved, thrifted items, not only to make over and you decorate your own home with them, be sure to check out my Ginger Chick The Journey channel, where I show you the behind the scenes of being a YouTuber, haul videos, shopping, along with home decor of how I decorate my own home. So thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye!